you guys? How's it going? Back with another episode of the High Notes podcast. I'm your host, Bryant, with my co-host here,
Reporter McNasty.
Reporter McNasty this week? What's up with the reporter? What's that about?
Bro, I am an intriguing person who has questions to ask about the world. Leading up to our guest appearance today.
Yes. So today's guest, you guys are gonna like this episode. We got a cam girl to come on and tell us what it's like to work in sex work. We don't know what it's like. McNasty, have you ever done sex work?
Nah, but I've been into it afterwards.
After the fact, we don't know. All right, but let's just jump right into the episode. So right off the bat, we actually want to do a couple of corrections and a couple of updates from previous stories that we talked in the last episode. So in the previous episode, I did mention a percentage of how many people you need in order to start a revolution. If you guys remember, did you remember that, McNasty?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
I quoted it was 1% of the population.
So actually, you were wrong.
I wasn't wrong.
You were wrong.
I was only off. So actually, you only need 3.5% of the population to start a revolution at any given time. So I just wanted to give a correction because I don't like giving out false information. So if I ever give something out that is false, I'll try to correct it in a future episode. Would you agree that that's a good approach, McNasty?
That is a good approach. I love hearing that you're wrong and you had to correct yourself. But another thing, now what do they take in account when they are, having these percentages of people? Because now would it be 3%, 3.5% of anybody in the US, or is there certain categories? Because
that's 3.5 of an entire population.
Gotcha. So in order to start a revolution, but what if it's 3.5 of 85%, all them in that revolution is just old men, 85 and up? They're not really gonna get anything done. What are they gonna get done?
I mean, how do you know that? You don't know that. What if they're trying to, let's say, get a new what's it called, tapioca machine at a nursing home?
They would have started a revolution for that. Now, what is a revolution? A revolution is an overtaking of.
No, well, you're thinking of a violent revolution. A revolution is just a change in people's minds and mentality. That's what a revolution really is.
Okay. When you put it like that, the whole thing I was thinking of, when you brought it up, it'd be somebody trying to take over the United States, or doing the North and the South segregation type shit. That's what I was talking about in the first one. But
now those are technically the same thing, but it's a change in people's attitude and mind. So,
how much is 3.5% of the U.S. population? Do you know that offhand?
That's actually a lot of people, actually. I believe there's 328 million Americans, so that would... let me double check that. Yeah, so that'd be 11 million people. Just 11 million.
How does that make sense, Brian?
What do you mean?
3.5%, not 33 or 35%. You said there's 38 million, right?
328 million.
Million, right?
Yeah.
Oh, 328. All right, gotcha.
Yeah. You almost caught me lacking again.
Yeah,
but no.
No, but 11 million is a lot of people. That's a lot of people.
Compared to the entire population of the U.S., yes.
Yeah, that's what? A whole state?
That depends on the state.
How big the state is? How many people are in California? I believe that most of the people are in California. But how about a more rural area like Wyoming? How many people live in that?
Wyoming probably doesn't have that many people in it.
I figured it's mostly farmlands and things like that.
It's 578,000 is the population. Yeah, there's nobody in Wyoming.
Technically, if they had a revolution, the people could take over Wyoming as a whole state.
Yeah, they would get overrun, bro.
How about Florida? Florida has to have more than 11 million.
Florida here is sitting at a healthy 21.48 mil.
All right, so damn, what state would have 11 million people?
Texas, maybe?
I believe Texas has a lot of people, man.
Texas has a 29 million, so just a little bit more than Florida. I did not know that.
It has to be a northern state that people don't really that's kind of like Virginia. Check Virginia.
Virginia? I don't think Virginia would have that many people. Virginia only sits at 8.5 mil.
That's still kind of close. So even Virginia will get overrun by the people. Damn, that's a lot of people, though.
That is a lot of people, McNasty.
Only 3.5%. So yeah, I can see how that could cause a revolution.
All right, McNasty, but let's go ahead and jump in to an update to a previous story here on the Amazon situation. So, for those unaware, Amazon recently became aware recently that Amazon has documentation stating that their drivers were peeing inside of bottles in order to avoid taking breaks. Now, an update to this story. Amazon responded. Now, McNasty, what do you think Amazon said in their response? Well, how do you think the response went?
Fuck them.
Now, that might as well have been the response, because they first came out and said that they had no proof of this, that there was no proof of their employees peeing in bottles, right? So, not only that, but proof came out even further, showing that the women were actually peeing in bags. Now, how do you think Amazon responded after doing that? How do you think they responded?
Fuck them.
It might as well have been that same response. Pretty much, Amazon then backtracked. They put out a press release and they said, listen, this is an industry-wide problem. We're not the only ones doing it. I'm being dead serious. They're like, but this doesn't excuse us. We are going to take the appropriate steps in order to correct this issue. How are we feeling on that? They tried to shift blame away from themselves and said, this is an industry problem. This is not an us problem. Even though they're the biggest in the industry.
The way I think of it is, listen, it's a business, right? It's a business, successful business. The same people who are complaining are the same people who have Amazon Prime and been ordering packages week to week. So if you want it to stop happening, obviously they're in high demand. They have a lot of packages to get out. But these people had to stop ordering shit because they're part of the problem.
They're a part of the problem.
So what are they going to do? If you really want to stop, have these workers have bathroom breaks and things like that, for as long as like a consumer standpoint, they're going to either have to just go to the store and buy what they have to buy, so they don't have to do that delivery, which in turns like makes them less busy so they can actually take breaks, or get their route finished quicker to head back. You know what I'm saying? Things like that. But you can't really, like, I know Amazon's trying to like progress. I just seen a commercial the other day where they're trying to have no carbon in the air from their vehicles by 2040. So I feel like if they're doing that, they could easily put like a porta potty integrated right into the thing.
Now listen, as a business major, because I'm technically enrolled in the College of Business, so I have to take a lot of business classes. Now, the only reason that these businesses care about the environment and these social issues is because it makes them money. By pretending to care, it makes them money in the long run. They already know that. They calculate that into their budget. If you give them a situation where it's like protect the environment or make a shit ton of money, I promise you 100% of the time, they're going to pick the shit ton of money.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. But the thing is, like, you have to think of it in the long run, too. So let's say the earth doesn't become sustainable for life anymore. You're not making any money. So if you could take, like, steps in order to prolong, air quality, doing all this stuff to make the world technically last longer so you could have that money longer ways, I don't see what the problem is. Like, you can make your money. You can promote like saving the environment, and then in the long run, it makes other businesses want to do the same. So technically, the environment's protected. So people can't complain about having all these vehicles on the road or having planes flying out, this and that, to get packages delivered, because some of those packages people actually need. And then because you could order anything off of Amazon.
I know that recently they just implemented a program. You can even order medicine now through. Yeah, like that's wild.
Yeah, exactly. So I rather like medicine get delivered in a vehicle that's like carbon free rather than, you know, having the dude at the pharmacy, which kind of sounds fucked, but having the dude in the pharmacy with a car from the 90s just spewing out all these emissions in the air. I know that kind of sounds fucked because, you know, small businesses and things like that, but it's just the way they got to adapt to the world.
We really got to like start hammering down on these companies in order to like make sure that they're taking care of their employees, because this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. You cannot in a civilized world be incentivizing your employees to not take bathroom breaks.
But they also choose to work there. You feel me? Like if you are a delivery driver, you could become a delivery driver at another company that gives you bathroom breaks. They're stopping you there. Now we talked about the pay, but hey man, like companies know pay structures. Like obviously if they're losing a lot of their current employees to another company because of the pay, they're gonna up the pay too.
That is true. That is true.
They'd rather just take the cut on the front end rather than you know, keep losing employees and then they're not getting any businesses, or they have to issue out credits because their packages aren't getting out on time. That kind of messes them up on their end, and then that kind of like dislodges the client to customer relationship that they have. Because honestly, sometimes I had packages where I ordered through Amazon and it tells me it'll be here in a week and it says it's lost in transit. Like that kind of makes me not want to even order stuff, or I should have just went to Walmart to buy this, or Target, or things like that. So they know what they're doing on that end. Companies know that if another company's offering more money, they're going to boost up their pay, maybe not to match it, to make it a little bit better, to incentivize people to work there.
Correct. Yeah, we definitely have to try to find a fix for Amazon at this point. Now, would you say that if the government were to step in and maybe set some type of rules or regulations around this, do you think they would change, or do you think they would just find a way around it?
Isn't there a law already to make give people breaks if they're working a certain amount of hours?
Yeah, for breaks, but not bathroom breaks. That's like a different thing.
Yeah, but I could see, like, if you know that you're having a long day of delivery, I wouldn't sit there and chug a gallon of water because you know you're not gonna have as many bathroom breaks. So could it be like prepared? Like I understand, like if you ate something the night before, your stomach hurts, you gotta take a shit. Like you gotta take a shit. It's like you can't really hold that in. You can't really. Yeah. But I'm saying, like, if you know you have a big day of deliveries, you probably be like, I'm not gonna eat this thing that makes my stomach hurt, and I know I'm gonna be shitting like an animal tomorrow. Or like, I'm not gonna drink this gallon of water because I don't know when my next bathroom break is gonna be. Like, they have to take that into accountability sometimes. Like, if you know, let's just say you're like an athlete and you're about to run a triathlon, you're not gonna go to a buffet an hour before and just starve yourself, because then you won't perform at the best of your ability. Do you agree with that?
That is true. I would agree with that.
There you go.
All right.
Making sense out here. So
we came to a middle ground. I like that.
Like we know, like you have to go to the bathroom. We know it's human nature. You got to go to the bathroom. Kind of sucks that you don't have the freedom to just, hey, let me pull over right here and go into this bathroom real quick. But I feel like taking a piss wouldn't really take a whole chunk out of your day. But there's some people who would abuse it. You know, there's some people who would abuse that. They'd be like,
that's a fact.
I had to take a bathroom break, but they're out here just chilling. You know what I'm saying?
No, that is a fact.
So yeah, it kind of sucks for people who have to use the bathroom, but you know, it gets to a point where people would abuse that, and then that wouldn't be very productive.
Yeah. All right, but nasty. But let's wrap up that section with Amazon and move on to the next topic here. Now, the mood's gonna change a little bit here for the next few stories. We had a somber week of news. Now, McNasty, have you heard the news on DMX and the Duke of Edinburgh, Prince Philip? Have you heard the news?
Yeah, so I've been following the DMX story pretty closely. He's been on all the outlets. There was actually like a celebrity who prematurely put rest in peace, and she got like dragged to the internet. she apologized, deleted a tweet, and people still came after her. Like, I feel like, nah, that was fucked up. Like, she honestly, like, she gave her condolences because she obviously thought he passed. Like, somebody wouldn't just put that.
Yeah, it was an honest mistake. It was an honest mistake.
Honest mistake. But like, she apologized, even deleted the tweet, even responded to like a follower she had saying, "Hey, like, it was my bad. Like, this is what I heard. I'm sorry. This, that, and the third." And then people kept dragging her. I was like, people make mistakes. Like, she was trying to do something sincere since she was a fan, and try to put it out there, like, you know, she's sorry that he passed away and things like that. I don't think she should have got dragged for it. But yeah, man, I've been following the DMX story real close. Sad to see that he passed away. But the Duke of Prince Philip, I didn't even know he was having health problems. Now I knew he.
Have you seen? Now here's the thing. Now for the DMX story, now I feel like that was unexpected. No one saw that coming. Now, Prince Philip, have you seen pictures of this dude before he died?
Yeah.
The dude looked like he was already dead. He was already dead in pictures. I was like, bro, put that man in a home. Like, you could tell that man was literally at the edge of dying at any moment.
Yeah. I could see that.
If you look at Philip here, any pictures of him, let's go ahead and pull up a picture of him real quick. All right, but many of you have probably seen this photo. Let me go ahead and share my screen here.
That was taken 2019.
Yes, 2019. There's no way that this man was alive, bro.
I mean,
you ever seen the?
He's pushing 90, bro. I think that's what 90-year-olds kind of look like. Now, not like that. Like, I see he has some like redness around his eyes. But if that wasn't there, I think that would be like what normal old people look like.
No, that's a different breed. Have you ever seen the movie Weekend at Bernie's?
No. Explain that.
So it's an old movie. I forgot what year it came out. It's a really old movie though. But essentially they have a dead guy and they pretty much pretend like he's alive the entire time, and they'll like dress him up and like carry him around.
And you think that's what they were doing with him?
This is what they were doing, bro. There's no way this man's alive. There's no way. But yeah. He lived till 99, died, 99. Born 1921, died 2021. 100 years pretty much. Didn't make it to his 100th birthday, but shit, that's a long ass life.
That's a long life, bro. And he was living the lap of luxury too.
Living in the lap of luxury as a royal prince. Sheesh.
Chilling. And he was mostly out of like the public eye for most of the part. Like everything that was like pressing had to go through the queen, right? So he
through the queen, yeah. He was just living his life.
His background, chilling. So that's a good life. I think he lived a good long life. I don't think he'll have any complaints.
That is a fact. All right, McNasty. But from this story of death, we unfortunately have to keep going on the same topic here. Ex-NFL player Philip Adams dead from suicide after killing 5 people. Have you heard this story, McNasty?
I have been, yeah. I heard about it today. Kind of ties into like that CTE setting in, man. I definitely think that was part of it, because prior to that, do you know if he had like any run-in with the laws, or it was just kind of just out of the blue?
No, I'm not sure if he had any run-ins with the law. The people that described him pretty much said he was a role model and a model citizen. Like, this was out of the blue. So apparently Philip took the life of his wife and his younger grandkids. So this was his own family. This is an extremely sad situation, because more and more of these headlines keep coming out of these NFL players that definitely have some type of mental health issues after playing football. Like, there's definitely at least a correlation between mental health of these football players and that CTE and playing football for such a long period of time. What's your input on that? What's your take on that?
So, yeah, CTE is definitely a thing. They actually like taken like the brains of NFL players who passed away and studied them, and they could actually see that correlation of how it's different from a normal brain that hasn't been taking hits after hits after hits. So I definitely think it like messes you up. And you know, after years, because technically a lot of these players start playing football when they're in Pee Wee, so they're like what 6, 7, maybe even 5 years old playing,
even younger, yeah,
taking hits, and then as the skill level goes up, you know the
hits get harder.
The hits get harder, and especially if like you're a talented player, you're gonna get put into those like pools of players who are also as talented as you and have something to prove. So they're not just out there doing little arm tackles. Like if you have a desire to go D1, or if you know you're getting scouted, you always want to go ahead and put on a show. So when you're in those games, you want to get that hard hit, you know, force a fumble, get a pick, run somebody over, hurdle them, you know, putting your body on the line to make it to that next level, to make it to the NFL and make millions. So the thing is like that I want to ask you, like, do you think a lot of these players are sacrificing their health in order to get the status and to make these millions, and do you think that's right?
Now, here's the problem. At what point do we separate the game, like football itself, from being responsible and putting that responsibility onto the players themselves? That you have to draw that line. Like, players have to be able to know, okay, well, I pushed myself to this much of a limit. Should I pull myself back? But then again, these people are incentivized, getting paid millions of dollars. Shit, for $1 million, I take a couple blows to the head. I ain't gonna lie, bro.
Right. Like I know you've seen this meme. Like, would you take a punch from Mike Tyson for like $2 million? I'll let that uppercut the shit out of me for $2 million. Like, even if he breaks my jaw, like, I'll have $2 million. Like, I could pay the doctor to
get that done again.
Still have some left over, right? But like, if he doesn't break my jaw and I'm just knocked out, then that's good on me. But like, money definitely incentivizes people, and the thing is, it's like, it's not only just the money, it's your fans. Because let's say like LeBron, like, you're having this awesome year, this, that, and the third, he gets hurt. Obviously, you know, he takes the time out to recover and then come back to the game, but he's more precautious. People are going to say that he's not playing to his full abilities, this, that, and the third. So now you have the fans and the media saying, hey, he's not doing what he's doing prior to the injury. Is his time up? Now he feels like he has something to prove. Be like, hey, I still got a lot in me. I just came off an injury. Let me get back into the groove of things. But that added pressure actually takes me back to like that Durant thing. A couple years ago when he was on Golden State and he knew he had that calf injury and like kind of tore his muscle. Like, I would have never, if I knew, like, we're in the finals, we're up a couple games or whatever it is, or like it was, I think he tore it like in the beginning of the series, but he knew like his ankles, like it was something was about to go wrong, but he still went out there and played because he wanted the chip, obviously. Yeah. Now, in the long run, maybe if he would have sat out that game or the next 2 games, I don't know if it would have snapped like that, but you can never know.
That's true. Now, I personally have a prediction here. As more information on CTE keeps coming out, eventually my prediction is that they're going to start putting like age limits on when you can actually start playing football. Because if you start these kids off at, you know, fucking, what's it called? Like, what grade would they start, like a Pee Wee League?
Like second, third?
Yeah, by second, third grade, you start these kids getting these hits to the head. By the time they become like 30, they're gonna suffer from CTE. And as more of this information keeps coming out, I think they're gonna start putting limits on at what age you can actually start playing these contact sports.
Yeah. The thing is, like, what I've been seeing a lot lately now is like kids aren't going to like full contact football. They start off maybe like on flag, and then as they get older, that's when they start putting the pads on. But yeah, I mean, there's like equipment out there to help you like not get as many concussions, or they adapt the rules for you to be safer, but things are going to happen on the field regardless.
That's true. All right, McNasty, but yeah, those last few stories here were a little bit somber. R.I.P. to DMX, R.I.P. to the Duke of Edinburgh, Prince Philip, and that entire family. Fuck, man, that's deep, that's dark.
Yeah.
Not much you can do there, but let's try to move forward into the last topic here, with some Alex Jones. Now, do you know who Alex Jones is, McNasty?
I have no clue who he is.
So Alex Jones is one of the biggest conservative talk show host. Yeah, there we go. He is one of the biggest talk show hosts. I can't talk today for some reason. And he had a Twitter video go viral. Now, keep in mind that Alex Jones has been banned on multiple platforms because of some of the crazy ideas and statements that he put out in the past. Do you know some of these crazy ideas and outlandish things that he said?
From what I'm guessing, he's like one of those conservatives who goes overboard. Am I right?
Now, here's the thing. If to the untrained eye, he sounds like a crazy person. Some of the things that he says, about 80% of the things that he says, is based in facts. But then you'll take another 20% that he's just making up on the spot. And you're just like, bro, you can't say that. Now this man...
Do you think he does that to like gain an audience or like captivate his audience? And
he definitely does, because if you watch his content, the guy is charismatic. You can't hate him. He is just like, he's a lovable guy. Like, you can't really hate the dude. So... one of the crazy ideas that he's put out in the past, have you ever heard of Pizzagate?
Yeah, where they were keeping those kids in the basement.
So yeah, that was on like a conspiracy story. Started, I don't know if it started by him, but it was definitely promoted heavily by him. So they believed that Hillary Clinton and all of these Washington elites were keeping a bunch of kids underneath a pizzeria in Washington, D.C. And the thing is that people believe everything that he says because, again, he mixes some truth in with the crazy shit, and people believe the crazy shit along with the truth. Yeah. So a dude went into the pizzeria with an AR trying to save these kids that he thought were in the basement of the pizzeria. But there were no kids in the basement because the pizzeria didn't even have a basement.
Oh, wow. but like... So I guess like the dude was trying to do the right thing and try to save those kids. But
he was trying to do the right thing. He was like, oh my God, why is no one doing anything? He was like, I'm going to go do something.
So the dude just busted in,
bro.
Swinging a gun around and saying, where the kids at?
Where the kids at? Yeah, did not play out the way he thought it would when he found out that the pizzeria didn't have a basement. Now, another crazy one, conspiracy story that was promoted heavily by Alex Jones. Have you ever heard of crisis actors?
Now, I've seen this before. Is it like they correlate like the same people at tragic events? Like the Sandy Hook guy was also another person that got interviewed somewhere else. Because I've seen that. I don't know if it's true, but from what I've seen, that is fishy.
So the idea of crisis actors is that conservatives believe that there's this giant conspiracy where whenever there's like a mass shooting and public outcry, in order to get more sympathy and people on their side, the people would hire, like there would be like some type of shadowy corporation that hires like actors, like paid actors, to pretend like they were like at the event when they really weren't.
Oh, okay.
So Alex Jones pretended, or well, no, he didn't pretend. Let me rephrase that. Alex Jones stated that he believed, like he truly honestly believed, he was taken to court for this, that the kids in Sandy Hook, the kids that were killed, were crisis actors.
He got taken to court for that.
Bro, you can't say that people that were killed were pretending to get killed. That doesn't even make sense. You sound crazy.
To be honest, that happened so long ago, like for me at least, like I really don't remember like any of the story about that, but I don't really like, I know like the little kids, so they obviously want like their identities protected and things like that. I didn't really see a lot on the news of like these actual kids like not trying to sound fucked up, but like being buried and things like that.
But That's the thing. That's what he played onto. That the fact that you really don't know any of these families because they don't put out the name of the kids that were killed. But that's the thing. It's because it's against the law to do that because they're minors.
I can see the way that he's thinking too. Like,
I understand where he's coming from. Yeah.
Yeah, like people have agendas. So like maybe they like somebody who wants gun control laws. They would go to the extreme to make this happen. So I could see how somebody could fabricate that and make it seem like to scare the public enough to pass these laws or to get enough people on their side to pass these laws. And it happens all the time. We see it all the time, and then we don't really pay attention to it because it's on a smaller scale. But things like that, like I have no doubt in my mind that happens.
Yeah, for a fact. For a fact that there has to be some situations that are definitely fabricated. Now, should we go into every situation assuming that they're all fabricated? Of course not. That's insane. That's an insane point of view, and that's the problem with Alex Jones. He takes that a little bit of truth and goes that extra mile, adding that insane part. And people believe it because it's so charismatic, and there's sometimes some proof that backs him up.
Because they see like that little proof and they think, oh yeah, he wouldn't lie to me.
Exactly the situation. And that's why he got banned off of most platforms. So you can't find him on YouTube, you can't find him on Twitter, Facebook, any of that. He's believed only on certain websites, like banned.com or some nonsense like that. But he still has a really large following of people who really do idolize the guy because he's a charismatic dude. Like, you really can't hate the guy. He is a charismatic. Now, Alex Jones was recently trending on Twitter because apparently he found some sex traffickers, I'm guessing is what he thought they were. There's a video. Let's play the video. I want to see what your point of view on what's happening here is. Let me go ahead and share my screen here, and I want to hear what you think on this.
Hey, we need the police over here. They got a bunch of kids without their car seats. Hey, they're piling in that car right now.
You got a car seat for them? You got a car seat? That's illegal, bro. Where are you taking these kids? That's illegal.
If you get in a traffic accident, those
Where
kids
are
are
you
going to get
taking
hurt.
these kids? You have a car seat.
That's illegal.
How is this Christian?
Hey, we need the police over here.
No, time out.
Yeah,
Right off the bat, what the fuck is going on here? This dude is loading up a bunch of kids into the back of a mini or SUV. What's going on here?
See, the thing with this is, why, like, does he wait for people to come out? See, I feel like right now this is stage. Because why?
That's what I thought too. Because he has a whole camera crew with him watching this dude load up a bunch of kids into the back of a car. What the fuck?
And the other thing is, the dude who is loading up the kids in the car is like dressed in a very, like, if you're trying to do something shady, you would definitely try to be more, blended.
Not stick out like a sore thumb. Yeah.
This has a teal shirt with staff on the back. Like, if I seen that, like, that draws attention because obviously when you go to events, you look for staff. They're usually in bright colored shirts. So if he's trying to be inconspicuous and to actually do this type of stuff, like.
He's not really good at it. Now, let's pretend that this was a situation where it was like child sex trafficking and anything like that. I don't think they're gonna be doing this in broad daylight. They're not gonna be moving like the kids around in broad daylight.
Church. That was a church, right? That was in front of it.
I believe so. Yeah. He said because you hear one of the guys in the background said that's not very Christian of you.
Oh yeah. So it's like broad daylight. He's like, come on, kids, just get in the back. Hop in the car. So yeah, right now it's looking kind of staged. Let's keep watching the video.
All right, let's keep playing it.
They got a bunch of kids without their car seats. You're violating Texas law.
Who is this right here?
Hey,
You have no comment. See, this is Christ-like.
All right. Do you see the guy that just jumped in front of the vehicle?
Yeah.
That's Alex Jones. I'm gonna let this play out. You can't hate the guy because he seems like he really truly means it. Let's let the video play out a little bit more here.
You're about to run a human being over. Hey,
you got those children in there.
Who are you?
You got those smuggled children illegally.
Who are you? Where are you taking these
You're
children?
smuggling children.
Are you a part of
You got to be legally in that vehicle.
You're not a part of this organization? Who are you? Where are you
We
taking
know you're
these
smuggling
kids?
these kids.
Where
Now
are you
got
taking
them
these
in the
kids?
back of there without children
Where are you
seats.
taking these kids? Sir, identify.
This is the massive smuggling.
This is literally human smuggling. These are children. Where are you taking these kids?
And now,
Sir,
they
where
get
are you
beat up in
taking
front.
these kids?
They don't even have car seats.
Sir,
Now their seatbelts
their
on.
seatbelts aren't even on.
They
Where are
break
you
all
taking
laws.
these children?
They do
Sir,
what they
identify yourself. Who are you?
Fucking hit me. I'll tell you right fucking
Who do you work for?
Be deep shit.
Are you a part of this organization?
No, sure. I don't know.
So you don't know where these kids are going?
They're going to check the COVID over there.
No, they came from over there. They're not being checked for COVID. So you don't know who you
I
work
need
for?
to call the police.
We need to call the police right now. I want to know where these kids are going.
You are violating state law. You have children.
They're not going there. You're not making any sense, sir. Identify yourself. Who are you?
Kids out of that back, man. If somebody rear ends you, those kids are gonna get hurt.
Doing that? How do you know? Go to the southern border. That's the mom?
Mother, yeah.
Yeah, all sorts of fucked up.
So how are we feeling on this video?
Nah, that video looks staged to me, man. I feel like.
But I mean, they called the real police. So if this was staged, they're definitely in some type of trouble after calling the cops.
But we didn't see the cops come up.
Yeah, you see the cops come up at the end.
You hear the noise, but nah. See, I think they were just reaching, because they could have. I had people like just throw mad people in the car before just to get somewhere. And the dude was like, the mom was in the back, which is kind of weird. Why is the mom in the back and that little kid was in the front seat? That was weird.
That's what I'm saying.
But nah, man, I believe that's like, I don't know, that has to be staged, because the way they said it, it was just like they were filming somewhere and out of the blue they seen all these people load up and then they just started assuming stuff.
Yeah.
The dude, obviously, I feel like if you're getting pressed by all these people, you wouldn't even know what to say. Like, what if you're just minding your own business and all these white dudes come up to your car and start yelling at you? Like, what the fuck are you supposed to do?
That is a big fact. What are you supposed to do in that situation? All right, McNasty. So for this next part of the podcast, we have actual cam girl that just so happened to want to come on and talk to us about her profession and what she does for a living. So, McNasty, how are you feeling about this before we go into this interview?
This guest selection so far has been fire.
Fire guest selection. We've had a whole scientist, 2 gang members, undocumented immigrant, and now a cam girl. Our guest selection is through the roof right now. We gotta keep this heat coming. We might have for next week. We might have our friend Chris coming back on, and Big Crip K. So we might have a combo episode next week, which might be even more fire than this week's episode. But we'll see how this plays out.
Yes, sir. But no, I definitely have a lot of questions to ask, I guess, today. So.
All right, McNasty, but let's go ahead and just jump right straight into that interview. All right, you guys, so we got another spicy interview today. Today we have Cara Winters. Now, Cara Winters here is a cam girl. Now, Cara, do you want to give yourself a little introduction here and tell the people a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I started camming probably about, I'd say about 1.5 years ago. I started because my physical job was getting to be a little bit too much. I was feeling overworked and I just felt like there were easier options out there. And so, I discussed it with my partner. I kind of found out about it through a coworker. Her sister had done it and it just sounded really alluring. So that's how I kind of got started. Before this, I was a dog groomer. I had a passion for helping people and animals, and I've just always been a very social person. So this kind of fit into everything that I'm doing now. Okay.
Now, I have a ton of questions here because a lot of people, there's a lot of stigmas around being like a cam girl or OnlyFans or any type of sex work. So I want to see from your perspective, going into this field. Now I did go through your TikTok content. I did notice that you said that you went to a private Christian school. Where did we do a turnaround? Where was the turnaround here?
Okay, so first of all, I've always kind of been an oddball out as far as that goes. I was raised extremely like in the church. So, I grew up going to, churches every Wednesday and then possibly every Saturday. And I was always, before I even went to that school, I felt like they sent me there to kind of try and fix me. I was always the goth kid, the emo kid, the scene kid, the weird kid. And it never went away when I went to private school. I just had to wear a uniform while I was there. So, I've always been who I am. I feel like I've had a lot of experiences that have kind of shifted me this way, but it's turned out to be more of a positive thing for my life.
Okay, now, coming from a conservative family, does your family know of your streaming life? Do they know about this?
Yeah. So the first person I told was my mom, and she at first was like, I don't know, I don't know. But then,
as most moms would.
Yeah. As she should. But then she realized, because I have a lot of health issues, aside from everything else, it's a lot. And so she realized the detriment that my 9 to 5 or whatever job was having on me, because it didn't just end up 9 to 5. It was 12-hour shifts. I wasn't getting lunches. I wasn't getting breaks. I couldn't check my blood sugar. I have type 1 diabetes. I have a lot of issues. And so when she realized that, hey, this is actually something that can better my health at the same time, she was like, you know what? Okay. And then I told my sisters and my brother all at the same time, and they were just like, yeah, do what you gotta do, I guess.
Now, do you ever worry that any of your family will come across your content randomly? Do you ever is that a fear of yours or no?
No, I don't think they're that sick to just yesterday. I have a feeling that's not something that they typically would try and do in their spare time.
Yeah, gotta be outing themselves out, right? Be
right? Yeah, why
find my
Why
profile?
would you do that?
Okay, now I have another question here regarding your family. Now, a lot of people have this stereotype that cam girls probably don't have, or most people in the most females in the sex work industry don't probably have a good relationship with their fathers. Would you say that that's true in this situation or no?
Oh, absolutely, but I don't think that has anything to do with So I don't think my dad actually has anything to do with my current profession. Now, I did go through quite a bit of childhood trauma, not to turn it dark or anything. But honestly, so first of all, my dad's dead, so I never had to tell him. A little bit of dark humor. I find it hilarious that I never had to. But as far as other experiences in my life, I definitely think that it was a negative connotation with my sexuality and males that probably prepared me for something like this. And that's a very complicated thing to go into. But I take this as, and I know a lot of people say, oh, it's hocus pocus, but I take this as I'm taking control back. Because one of the things I told myself whenever I started doing this was, I will never do anything that I don't want to do. And that has been just an amazing thing, an amazing impact as far as feel like I'm taking power back for myself.
Gotcha. So you feel like it's a form of empowerment?
Yes, definitely. Absolutely.
Oh, that's amazing. Now, how do you think that this has affected your relationship with friends in your social life?
I really didn't have much of a social life to begin with. I'm a very extroverted introvert, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
So, I really like company, and I really like being surrounded by people for a bit, and then it takes me a bunch of time to recharge. So in real life, I really don't have that many friends, and I can go without seeing them for 3 months and then see them, and it's like nothing has changed. So my friends are very supportive. I am married. It hasn't, it was a journey, obviously, to get to where we're at now, but that's been going well. So I don't feel like it's affected me too much, to be honest.
Now that you mentioned that you're married, that actually leads me into my next question. Dating life or your relationships, how does this affect it? Because your partner has to be aware that hundreds of guys probably watch you like on a daily basis. Like, how do they feel about this?
So, he thinks it's hot. Okay, first of all, we've been together for 10 years. So we got together when I was 17, 18. And we got married 5 years in, and we're still together now. And so whenever I first started streaming, like I said, about a year and a half ago, it was definitely an adjustment period. He was really gung-ho at first because he heard, again, the health thing and the amount of money that I could make. And then it became, there was the adjustment of a little bit of jealousy. And then I realized, I really need to make sure that I make time for him, that he knows that he is my absolute world. Like I always like to joke, like I'm an absolute simp for my husband. I tell him so, I just have to make sure to make time to tell him, every single day, you're loved, you're handsome, you're important, you're funny, you're smart. I love you so much. I'm so lucky. And I tell him multiple times a day, and he knows that like I would never stray. So whenever you have that kind of connection and that kind of trust, it makes it so much easier to do something like this, because as much as I love what I do and I love interacting with people and I love forming relationships, it's still work. So we can separate that from each other.
Gotcha. So you would say that by making sure that you always reassure your partner that they're the only person that you actually care about, that's what allows you to that flexibility in the relationship.
Yeah, and I mean, not to say that I don't care about the people that I talk to, because I am still human at the end of the day. I used to want to be a therapist. Like I love people. I love talking to people. My job is much more than making people feel good sexually. It's making them feel good mentally as well, and having somebody to talk to and just to reach out to. A lot of what I do isn't sexual, surprisingly. So it's not that I don't care about everyone else. It's just I have a whole bunch of extra love, but my main love will always be my husband.
Okay, now you said that your career isn't like what you do isn't really just only sexual. Like, what do you mean by that? Like, do you have like actual like conversations with the people that watch you on stream?
Yeah. So like, sorry, my hair's going a little crazy. So on stream, I do things that are sexual. And I have moments in streams where it's like, okay, 2 hours of just straight, like, we're getting into it, right? But then at the same time, I also offer what I call girlfriend services. And sometimes it's just talking to somebody for an hour, casual. I did one last night and it was really nice. The guy just wanted a little bit of advice. And we ended up laughing and talking and having a lot of fun for like an hour. And sometimes people just need somebody to talk to. Like, and I think that's the big thing with camming versus porn, is because porn is more, you watch a video, you get off, but camming is really getting to know somebody and their personality and seeing if you click. And not everyone has the luxury to have somebody to talk to. So it's nice to be able to, it's almost like a mental massage, if that makes any sense.
No, it does make sense, because I know that in Japan, there's a very large section of the population of males that literally just haven't like dated their entire lives, and they go out and they look for people in your specific situation where they just want to talk. They just want that girlfriend experience. So, do you feel like you offer that to them, where it's like you get to be their girlfriends too, but not really? Does that even make sense?
No, yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's called GFE, or the girlfriend experience. And that's one of the things that I personally, I feel like I shine in. I feel like every cam girl has their own little spark about them. And I feel like that's my spark. I feel like I can offer some comfort and some a safe place for people to feel like they can be themselves and talk about things and not feel judgment and just feel taken care of.
Gotcha.
So in some ways you are like a therapist to these guys.
A therapist with a little bit of boobs, you know what I'm saying? Living the dream.
Now, go ahead, Ariel.
No, I was saying sweet because it's like a more interactive experience other than just watching something. You could actually just put your input. So is it like an extra charge? Is like a different service? So how's that like if they wanted like that hour phone call with you?
Yeah, so like as I stream live, I try and talk to everybody in my main chat. But if they want more private time with me, they would tip me for it. Obviously, I do keep that cheaper than I would for something sexual. It's actually a lot cheaper than what I would charge for that. But yeah, it's just a separate service. I try and cater to customize it as much as I can. So for different price points, for different time frames, I try and make everything a little bit available.
Gotcha. Now, do you schedule that on the front end, or is it just like whenever you have time for it, that's when you do it? Or how does that work, like the schedule?
For me personally, I try and schedule as much as I can. So that way I can know to plan. And, I have, like, say I'm streaming, I'm not always able to just be taken away because you don't want to just drop everything all the time because then your followers can get, it's not fun if every time you get on, it's like, oh, she's getting right off again. Mm-hmm. So I try and schedule as much as I can. But like last night, I was just kind of sitting around watching a movie and somebody was like, hey, can we talk? And I was like, yeah, sure, I got time. So it kind of is situation by situation.
Gotcha.
Now, that's a common misconception that I think a lot of people also have. They believe that sex work is pretty easy and it's laid back. You just post and people just pay you for the content. But I believe like a lot of these girls put a lot of work into their content. Would you say that you would be working more than 40 hours or at least a 40-hour regular job with your current situation?
So it depends. So there have been times where I work every day in a month, and there have been times where I work 4 times in a month. But when I'm working, I'm working. So especially whenever I feel like I'm deep in it, I don't ever really feel like I'm officially off the clock. I'm always trying to make myself available, whether it be, you're texting people all day or you're trying to shoot extra content, you're making videos, you're trying to promote, you're setting things up, the lights, you're shopping. A lot of these girls, I'm very amateur and I've kept it very amateur. I strive to be better, but there are so many girls who put so much effort into their tip menus, into their gifts, into their, like another side thing that I do is like, I sell underwear. And so today, I'm going to have to go to UPS and I like to dress things up. I like to get little candy bar, whoever's buying it, their favorite candy bar, and then dressing it up by getting special packaging. And there's just a lot of tiny little things that add up all together. And the biggest thing for me though, is I constantly feel like I'm on my phone. Like I had to get a second phone because I'm like, when I'm trying to relax, I got so tired of seeing like a billion notifications and then I'm just trying to like play Pokemon Go, so it's definitely a full-time thing.
Gotcha. Always on call.
Now what do your pricings look like? Like what exactly do your followers pay for?
So it depends. So I do streaming through my free cams. And so they get half of basically everything that people spend. Now, a lot of people think I'm getting gypped when that happens, but my free cams actually is a very large, sorry, I'm having a bit of a nosebleed. My free cams is a very large traffic site. So they're bringing the people to you. And the better you do and the more money you make per hour or the more tokens you make per hour, the more they promote you. So my pricing on there is a little bit higher than sometimes my pricing off of the site. So say in dollar amounts, again, this might be more on the actual site, but like say somebody wanted to do a private session of just talking. I typically do $1 a minute for that. Or if they wanted to do phone, I do like 50 cents a minute. But if they wanted something sexual, it would be more like $6 a minute. Or if they wanted a video, $10 a minute. So, and it's more expensive if you go through the site though as well. But the bonus of the site again is that I get more promotion. So they both have their bonuses to them.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So they kind of just bring the people without you really having to do a lot of marketing.
Yeah,
You kind
yeah.
of just have to focus on your craft, and you let them focus on bringing the people to you.
Yes.
Now, off of that, do you like direct them to like your personal site or anything like that, or is that allowed?
No, I prefer, now they don't like me advertising Cash App or anything there, which I completely understand. I believe that MyFreeCams does own OnlyFans, which strangely enough, I do not have an OnlyFans yet. But it's because I feel like I don't put out enough content frequently, and I don't want people to pay $5 to not get anything, right?
Yeah.
So, but they do have their own kind of little video share service that I have stuff on. But they, I'm sorry, I got lost. What was the question?
So do you, well, I was basically just asking if once you bring in that big crowd on that site, do you divert it to your personal site? And you said not really, because they don't really like you advertising Cash App and things like that.
Yeah, so I do advertise my Snap, and I do advertise my Twitter and my TikTok, and they can purchase services through Snap. I do let that be known. Because a lot of people don't want to make an actual account because they don't want to spend money on tokens, because tokens can be a little bit pricey. So then sometimes I'll tell them, hey, you know, I do offer things over here, but like when we're here, we have to do this stuff.
Gotcha.
Now, you said that you haven't created an OnlyFans yet. Now, how do you feel about OnlyFans as a platform itself?
Oh, I love it. I think it's great. I think it's awesome that, you know, people can do like cheaper subscriptions and have a multitude of people, because right now I feel like the pricing for my videos is good, but like if I were to put out a bunch of videos, make things cheaper, and then people could just pay monthly a smaller fee, I think that's awesome for people to be able to do. It's cost effective for the consumer, and for the cam girl, it means that they can have a ton more people purchase this product rather than a few people purchase a higher price product per item. So I think OnlyFans is amazing.
Wow, that is a good point of view on that. Now, do you feel like if you expanded out to OnlyFans, do you feel like your followers from MyFreeCams would move over to OnlyFans to watch you, or do you think that there's separate audiences?
Oh no, they would thank the gods. They're always asking me like, when are you gonna do an OnlyFans? I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't have the energy right now. But they would absolutely love it. They would be just so excited.
Gotcha. Now, how do you feel about bigger creators? Like, I know Bella Thorne created an OnlyFans, and she made, I believe, like $1 million in like 24 hours. And recently, Bad Baby also made her OnlyFans account, and she went from $1 million in like 6 hours, I think. How do you feel about these giant like superstars coming onto OnlyFans? Does that take away from the smaller creators or no?
I think it does to an extent, but at the same time, the more I think about it, people who are coming for those people probably didn't have an OnlyFans to begin with. So it almost brings more traffic to the site that might not have otherwise been there. So it might take away from some creators, but I don't think people that want a more personal experience with these smaller creators, a more like a feel of, I actually know this person, people like that aren't going to just drop those people for these famous creators. I think a lot of people that go to these famous creators, they go to it for the intrigue and the interest. I mean, you know, you kind of get a sense of who they are, but you haven't seen them naked. So I think in a sense, it does drive more traffic to the site.
Gotcha. Now, do you feel like by making this content that's extremely personal and intimate with the intention of distributing it to hundreds of people, do you feel like you've ever had a situation where, let's say, a guy became like, let's say, over infatuated and they thought they were actually in a relationship with you? Has that ever happened to you?
Oh yeah, a few times. I've had situations where people, they want to take it beyond, and first and foremost, I let everyone know, like, I don't hide that I'm married. Sometimes if I'm doing a one-on-one with somebody and they want me to take off my ring, I'll do that. And that's something I've discussed with my partner. But that's for like a one-on-one experience. But I don't hide that I'm married. I don't hide that I'm happily, you know, in a relationship. However, this is a personal thing and people are human. And sometimes it gets a little muddy, and I have had people who I've had someone who's married and they're like, I'm really infatuated. I want to come see you. I want to come, do things. I think I could really take care of you. And when it comes to situations like that, I try and let things down gently, but sometimes I just have to legitimately stop talking to them and just cut things off. And I never try and leave it bad, because sometimes it does get scary. People can find you. There are ways that people could find out where you live, or, if they know about the area that you're in, it can get a little nerve-wracking. I had this one guy who, it was when I was at the beginning of streaming and I didn't really have very good boundaries. And he would talk to me for hours, and he had this kind of sad backstory. He was in the military and he had PTSD, and he had a lot of demons I feel like he was battling with. And as much as I like to think that I can help people like a therapist, I'm not a therapist. And one day I remember he asked me to watch this movie, and it was a terrible movie, by the way. It was not worth it. He paid me to watch it, but it was. There's a scene in this movie where this guy goes to a strip club and he's asking a stripper her name, and she says, it's like, let's say Kitty or whatever. And she's like, it's Kitty. And he's like, no, really, what's your name? And he throws more money at her. And she says, no, my name's Kitty. And he throws more money at her, and he calls her all these different degrading names. And he's like, what's your name? And he's like really pushing on her, and she just keeps saying Kitty. And finally, she leaves after, so much verbal abuse. So then, I don't know that he really equated it to that movie. I don't think it had anything to do with that. But one day we were talking, and he had told me his real name, and that's fine and dandy. I'm not wanting to look up any of my people. Privacy is definitely key. But he told me his name, and he had picked it out because there was somebody who had passed that he took the name for, and he thought that was really special. And so he's like, okay, so now I've told you the story about why I have my name. Now you tell me your name. And I was like, I'd rather not. And he said, tell me your name. And I said, it's complicated. And he just went off. He started calling me all these names. He started telling me heartless. He said, because I wasn't crying, and just because I don't cry easily. I mean, again, trauma. So I'm not I try not to be super emotional. But because I wasn't crying, I was just a cold person. I was going to die alone. I was just a whore and a slut and all these other different degrading things. And he was getting very violent, verbally. And I have this thing where, there's fight, there's flight, and then there's freeze. And I just froze for a minute because I was so hurt. And I pulled everything together, and I was like, you know what? I hope you find love. I hope you find what you're looking for. I'm so sorry that you're going through all this. I really wish the best for you. But in order for me to love myself, I can't subject myself to this kind of talk. And so I can't keep talking to you. And I hung up, and he tried to contact me a few more times after that, and I just reiterated the same thing, and then I had to block him. But I try with those situations, being a female or being somebody in general that's in a vulnerable position, you get nervous and you don't want to make people, because I honestly do wish the best for him. I hope he finds happiness, and I hope he finds what he's looking for. But again, in order to love myself, I can't subject myself to that. So I just try and put it easy, like, I do genuinely care for you, but I can't do it anymore.
Wow, Deep story.
Deep story.
When it's meant.
So I know you said about you had to set up boundaries as soon as you started streaming. What are some boundaries you had to set up that you didn't think you had to when you started doing this type of work?
So there's a lot of things when you first start streaming that you really just kind of play around with, like time spent with people and free time spent with people. That's one of the things. It's like, when I'm answering these messages all day, sometimes I really have to pull back and be like, you can't answer every single person all the time. And especially, and it sounds heartless, but again, it's like going to a strip club. If you don't tip a stripper, she's not just going to give you a lap dance constantly, right?
Makes sense.
So, and as much as I'd love to talk to everybody all the time because I love talking, and I love learning about people and their specific stories, I had to put that boundary on. You can't make everyone happy. If you try and make everyone happy, you are just going to become a trash can of yourself, and
You'll be miserable.
So that was one boundary. Another boundary I had set beforehand was I wouldn't do anything that I didn't want to do. Now, there have been a couple times where in the beginning, I felt pressure to do things because you feel like these people are investing in you. They're giving you money, so they deserve your body. And that's not how it is. You set your prices, you set your limits, they're non-negotiable. This is you. And if they don't like you, and I say this to a lot of people, I'm like, hey, I only do this much. So if this isn't for you, I completely understand. I'm sure there are plenty of other cam girls there that can suit your needs. And I don't say it mean either. Like, I genuinely mean it. There are plenty of other cam girls that do what I don't do. And so if that's what you're looking for, you can go there. But I don't do everything. And another really important boundary that I've had to set is, especially because I do some Dom and sub play. So just because somebody is playing a Dom role doesn't mean that they have absolute control over what you're doing. And you can say stop anytime. If they've spent $100 on a private, you can say stop. No, like I can refund you, or you can just keep it, or you can pay what you paid up to this time, but I do not have to continue to do anything that I don't want to do. And people who are dominant, they set boundaries. True people who are playing in that role, they're not just going to be like, do this because I said so. Like, there are boundaries set beforehand, and there are precautions as you go. So just because somebody tells you to do something doesn't mean you have to do it, whether they're paying you or not.
Now, what type of I know you definitely get a bunch of weird requests, like on a regular basis. That has to be like a thing. What's the weirdest like kink request that you've ever received that you could remember off the top of your head?
Off the top of my head, I mean, like, I don't like to say anything. It's like, I can say different. Okay. I don't like to kink shame. But like, in some things I'll find, like, I had a guy ask me to do a balloon video the other day. That's why I have all these balloons.
Okay.
And I found myself actually really enjoying it. Like, you'll do some of these things and you're like, I didn't realize that was going to be a thing. But I would say one of my weirder requests, or I guess my more different request, was some guy paid me a decent amount of money to lick my armpit. And I was like, I mean, if I had everybody paying me to just lick my armpit, like, it would be the dream. So I wasn't mad at it. I was like, this is great.
I mean, somebody paid me to lick my armpit, I'll probably do it.
Right? Like,
anything over $50, I'm doing it.
I will go to town. I will take some great showers. I will shave and I will go to town.
Yeah. Now, concerning that armpit licking, was there like any additional requests? Like maybe he's like, can you like run a lap or something and then come back and do it?
No, this guy was pretty easy. He was just like, hey, can I Snapchat you and you do this on Snapchat? And I was just like, this is in the beginning of my camming, and I was just like, yeah, sure.
Now, a friend of mine did ask, because I told people that you were gonna come on to the stream with us, any questions that they had, and a female friend asked me, Do you do anything to prepare ahead of time in order to get you in the mood before you start camming, or did you just go straight into it cold turkey? How does that work?
Oh, there's definitely so much that goes into it. So like, I typically have a routine of I'll spend, and sometimes it takes me 2 hours because I like to watch YouTube videos or like listen to podcasts, or like I'm really into like true crime. So like murder interrogations or like, true crime stories. I like to listen to those while I'm doing my makeup. I get all my lights ready. I, get my outfit ready, which again, my type of, one of the most important things I want to throw out here about this interview is that I do not speak for all cam girls by any means. We are all super different. So what I say doesn't necessarily mean what everyone else thinks. But like a lot of times when I cam, I just wear like a t-shirt because I feel more comfortable. I have a lot of scars, so I don't show a whole bunch at a time. But yeah, sometimes I'll like spray some perfume. I know that sounds like, why would you do that? You're on cam, but it's like, it makes me feel sexier.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of like getting ready. And then sometimes I just listen to music as I'm getting ready, but just like a nice little like, okay, we're about to have some fun. We're about to talk to some people. It's going to be good.
Gotcha. Sets the mood.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, have you ever had situations where even if you go through that entire process, you're just not feeling it and you just end the stream? Has that ever happened to you or no?
Yeah, so there have been a couple times where I'll completely get ready and then I'll hear my husband come home and I'm like, guess not. Or like if I get on and just like nobody is really there for like an hour, then it's just like, okay, well, we'll go ahead and end the stream because you don't want your money to time ratio to be messed up because then it lowers your rank on the site. Or I've had, and so on the site that I'm on, there's guest accounts, there's basic accounts, and then there's premium accounts. Guest accounts are just random people. Premium or basic accounts, they have purchased tokens in the past, or they at least have an account. And then premiums have tokens in their account. And so I like to let everyone talk. I don't like to just, I don't want it to be just only if you have money, you can talk to me. I like to be available for everybody as far as like publicly. I answer to as many people as I can. Like I like to make that an experience. But however, with the guest accounts, you can't really ban them because they can just like refresh their VPN. Yeah. And they will say the most racist, horrendous, sexist, most awful. They will pick at your biggest insecurity. And I've had times where I've gotten on and like, it'll just be over and over and over. And I don't like to give it attention because that's exactly what they want. It's people who didn't learn. I'm one of 6 kids. I'm used to not having attention. Like people who didn't learn, like you don't always get the spotlight, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so it's not necessarily their words that would hurt. It's just the fact that they were trying to be mean that would hurt, Gotcha. And so that's another reason why I used to end my streams. But now I just have to ban the guest accounts as much as it sucks.
Gotcha. No, I definitely understand that there's like a lot of people trolling on there. But do you think like maybe that's like a kink of some people, like to hop on there and just degrade you in some type of way and they get off on that?
Oh, definitely. And that's another thing that really makes me cry about it is because again, it's that control thing. And so by me ignoring them, I want them to just go away. So I win. So I get control. Because what they say at the same time is they say, why aren't you muting the guests? And then they say a whole bunch of really shitty things. And then I ignore it and they say, mute the guests, mute the guests. And so they want to win. They want me to mute the guests so that they know that they won. And that hurts me so bad to have to like, because no one else wants to watch it. As much as I could just be like, you know what, fuck you all day. It's ruining the experience for everybody else who comes in my room, and that's messing with my paycheck. So it's definitely a control thing, and it just hurts so bad to have to like press that button because you know that they think that they won, and it's like I know you have a sad little life doing whatever you're doing right now, but like I just don't want to give them the satisfaction. So that's why I just have to mute the guests now, and it really sucks.
Understandable.
Now you said that you are married. Now, another question that I had here, how has this affected your love life, like your love life in the bedroom? Has camming made it better or worse?
It's made it better. So like, so last night we just had this conversation. So, you know, we have our own little kinks and our own little fetishes, and I won't divulge too much into it, but like, so say I'm online a lot and a lot of people tip for me to play with my dildo or like suck on it or gag on it or do whatever. And it's made me better at it. And so he's definitely reaping the benefits of that. It makes me, I don't know. I think it's made it better.
So I'm guessing you do like a lot of solo things. Have any of your, you know, customers or clients requested like you and your husband? Would your husband be down for that, or he's totally camera shy, or what's the deal with that?
Oh, he says no all the time.
All
I'm
the
like,
time?
please, they will pay us. They will pay us for you to just let me do it. And he says no. He is not. He's like, I am not. No, that's not going to be a thing. Dang it. I keep trying though. I'm still trying.
Now, how did when you first approached him with this idea, like, how did he react? What was his reaction?
So I told him because I found out about it through a girl that I worked with. So this girl, because I kind of played around with the idea, I'm like, you know, I just wish I could just go online and just take off my clothes and make money. And she was like, well, my sister does that. And I was like, oh yeah? And she told me how much her sister made. And our sister was making an exorbitant amount of money. And so I took that and I went home to my husband. I was like, hey, just throwing this out here. You know, I would be able to work from home. I would be able to make my own hours and I could make this much. And he was like, how much? And I was like, I can make this much. And then the first week, so they promote you your first week. And I didn't start out on my free cams. I started out on Cam Soda. But so since they promote you, they put you at like the top of the list basically. And I made like, I think I made like $1,500 in like 20 hours.
In
And I was
20
like-
hours?
20 hours.
Yeah, and this isn't an all the time thing.
Okay.
But like I was like, look at this, honey. And he was like, and you know, there would be times where I'm like, I made $400 tonight. I made $800 tonight. And it was getting so exciting. Like he'd be in his game room at the other side of the apartment that we lived in back then. I live in a house now that we built because of all of this. It's a small house, but it's a house. And he would be on the other side of the apartment playing his games. And I'd be like, honey, I just made this much. And he'd be like, okay. So why am I working?
Now, is he like real excited for you when you do bring a lot of money in, or is it just like I know there's a lot of men out there who like don't really want their partners making way more money than them, or they feel some type of way? Have you encountered that at all?
Oh no, not at all. So we are equals in our relationship all the way through. So, and a lot of people find it weird, but like we split our bills down the middle. And so in some bills he has and some bills I have. So like I have hospital bills. I don't have a car bill. He has a car bill that he pays. You know, the rent, the electricity, everything else is split down the middle. So I used to make more than him. Just because I had been at my job longer. I was working a trade. I was a dog groomer. So, and he was working more conventional jobs. And so there was a time where I was making more than him, and there was a time where he was making more than me. But I feel like splitting our bills down the middle has always given us accountability as far as like, hey, you take care of your half, I take care of my half. You know, we both have that responsibility, at least make enough to do that. And then whatever else we have, we can enjoy, and you can have your money and I can have my money. But I mean, we're not going to leave each other hanging either. So, you know, there have been times where I didn't really make that much money and I had to borrow money from him. And I say borrow, but like, you know, we would never just leave each other in the dust.
Yeah.
But we do have that responsibility to each other to keep each other accountable. And we thrive in each other's successes.
Gotcha.
So there's no jealousy as far as me making more money than he does.
Nice. So how has your lifestyle improved since you started camming? Do you have like a new Benz in the driveway or something like that?
So first of all, strangely enough, I don't drive. But I mean, within the first year of camming, I moved out of apartment life. I built my house from the ground up. I live in a really cool neighborhood. I mean, I'm not living in like a mansion. It's like a 1,400 square foot house. But like for me, like having struggled paycheck to paycheck so many years, it's like, holy crap, like we can breathe. Like we do what we want when we want, not necessarily like vacations or anything, but like I can go and buy something and not look at my bank account and be like, oh man, am I gonna have enough? You know, like there are times where things get a little tight, but I'm not scared anymore. And that is such an amazing feeling. Also, making my own hours, I can hang out with my husband whenever he's free to do it. And I can, if I'm not having a good day or if I'm feeling kind of sick, I can take days off. I have time to take care of myself in ways that I couldn't whenever I was working 12-hour days. No lunches, no breaks, and people constantly hounding you for things and pressure, and I just feel so much less stress. It's just so nice to feel so much less stress.
So what advice would you give like people who are looking to start up a camming service?
The advice that I would give is it's not as easy as it sounds. It's very emotionally taxing. That's the biggest thing, because there is a huge dark side to camming. I don't want to like scare anyone away, but at the same time, I want to be honest and real about it. There are a lot of pros about it, and there's a lot of empowerment and a lot of lovely, lovely things that I love about camming. Like, I love my job. I honestly love what I do. If I felt like I didn't like or love what I did, like this would be such a shit show. If I felt like it made me depressed, like I don't know. I could see this sending somebody to a psychiatric hospital. I've been through, and I've kind of mentioned it here and there, I've been through a lot of trauma in my life, and I've been through a lot of therapy in my life. I've been in and out of hospitals. I have had to grow a lot to be who I am today. And if I had just started doing this willy-nilly when I was younger, I don't think I would have been able to handle it. You're exposed to people's darkest desires. There are disgusting people out there who want you to pretend like you're underage, who want you to do things with animals or like disgusting, degrading things. And, there are little safety precautions you can put in measure to prevent those things. But like when you're actually in that situation, it can be very dark and very scary. That's the first thing that I would want somebody to know. The second thing that I would want somebody to know is after they've done their, after they think about that and if they think they can mentally handle it, is to do their research. Look up videos. Don't expect anything to be hand-fed to you. I'm very open with like people asking me questions and things like that, but a lot of people, also are like, I have had to put in my dues and do my research, so you should do the same thing. So a lot of people don't want to be asked like, how do I do this? There are plenty of options. I say go to Reddit, go to YouTube, go to other girls' cam rooms, go and sit in their rooms and watch them and see what they do and see how they function before you do anything. Also, be prepared to make time for the first week or two that you do start camming, because the sites promote you so well that if you can get a good stride right there, then you will be on like an upcline instantly. If you don't have a lot of time to put into it, I'd say wait until you can. I started out 20 hours a week on top of working 40 hours a week. So it does take some commitment.
Gotcha. So you were still doing the dog grooming thing as you were starting off the cam. It's not like you just quit and jumped right into it.
Yeah. And I stopped dog grooming only because of Corona. I was sent to the hospital. I almost died last year from sepsis. And so I got out and I was very weak, and then Corona happened and I was like, I cannot risk anything of being out in the public. So it was kind of a tiny blessing that I was able to kind of smooth off of, okay, well, now I'm just not here. Now I'm here.
So you would say the pandemic actually kind of benefited you in some type of way to explore different venues?
Yes. Actually, the first couple months of the pandemic, I made the most money in those months than I ever had. It was crazy. And this is like before stimulus and everything. This is in the first 2 months. And I was like, this is crazy. This is absolutely nuts. But it was wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Everybody was stuck at home. Nobody's
Yeah.
really doing anything.
Like, we got nothing better to do. So
Right.
why not?
Now, you did mention Reddit earlier. Now, a big problem with Reddit is stolen content. How do you feel about people going around the system, creating like file shares where they have giant files of different like content creators and not paying for the content? How do you feel about that?
Oh, it sucks. So you can look at it a couple ways. I mean, one, you can look at it as, so for my personal trade, I think it'd be worse for porn stars. For me, since I'm a cam girl and I do personal services, it's like, well, you're not going to get the personalness unless you come and see me. So it's almost, I like to think of it as free promotion to an extent. But it just sucks. Like, I'll Google my name and I'll be like, I'll find a stream that I've had. And it's like, what sucks more is I don't know. I need to look it up. This is my laziness, I guess, because I should know by now. But I don't know how to record my own streams. And so, like, to see somebody else recording my streams, I'm like I would pay them, the people who are stealing my streams, just to teach me how to edit and take my own streams. Like, just at least give me something. But that's what annoys me the most, is I don't know how to record my own streams, I think. But it's annoying, it sucks, but for me personally, I try and look at it as free promotion, because again, where I shine is the personal aspect.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. Like, definitely maybe somebody who never has thought about making an account for one of these services just finds you on the internet one day, and that could lead to like a Instagram follow or a Twitter following. And maybe down the line they would pay for the services. So yeah. I could see how that's like good promotion. But it also sucks. Side, right? Yeah, but it's like taking money away from you on the front end. Well, hopefully you can get some money on the back end if that person, really wants to watch your content.
Definitely. Try and look at the glass half full.
Yeah. I mean, it's gonna happen. Yeah. People find ways. Yeah,
somebody's gotta do it, right?
Yeah.
Ooh. Now, my final question here. Now, there has to be a time limit pretty much on how long you can actually do this for. What's your exit strategy? What do you plan on someday retiring from this? Like, have you planned that out, thought that out through?
No, I'm just gonna be a JILF. I'm kidding. I mean, it works out for some people. I see some people and they're like 6 years old and still going. I'm like, good for them. I hope they can retire soon, for their own sake, but like, good for them. My exit strategy is, I don't know. So I feel like I got like a good 10 years because I can still get into that MILF category. I don't quite want to go that long though. I think my exit strategy would be to open up some type of a business. I'd like to get to the point where I am stable enough to start making other career moves. I think that's what a lot of girls do. Like there's a typical, they do this to pay for college or, to do their own little kind of thing to get them prepared for something else. Right now, I'm really enjoying it. I'd love, I used to want to be a therapist and I still think about that sometimes. One of my dreams, and I don't talk about this a lot, but like, I think it would be really cool because we mentioned Asia earlier. Like, I know over there that they have like cuddle bars. And I think that would be so nice to have over here. Now, of course, there would have to be a lot of vetting and a lot of like, almost kind of like how they do at the Bunny Ranch over in, I believe, Nevada. But like, not necessarily sexual, but sometimes people just want to be held. Like, and not everyone has that luxury. Like there are plenty of people who, maybe are down on their luck or they don't feel like they're in a situation where they have somebody who they can go to. And people get really, really lonely. And that makes me sad. Like the fact that people don't have people that they can have some physical touch, some physical interaction to kind of feel like cared and loved for, like that hurts my heart. And so I think it would be really cool to open up a cuddle bar, but that's just one of the many kind of business ideas I've thought of. But obviously sex is probably going to have to be legal first before any kind of a cuddle bar can be open. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I haven't looked into too many of the logistics. I just want it to happen.
Now, Now, actually, no, I want to ask an even better question now that you mentioned that. Now, how do you feel about prostitution being legalized in the country? Because I know European countries, like believe Amsterdam and other countries like that have actually legalized prostitution, and pretty much is government regulated. They make sure that the girls get tested and stuff like that. How would you feel about that here in the States?
I think it would be such a great thing. With prostitutes, it's very dangerous. Because if something goes wrong, what are you doing? Something illegal? So who are you going to go to? You know, if somebody's trying to take advantage of you, if somebody, you know, and a lot of people think of it as like, you know, if a prostitute gets raped, it's like, well, that was her profession. She was asking for it. And, you know, anybody, man, woman, whoever should be able to walk down the street naked. Not that they should, but should be able to walk down the street naked and not feel like somebody's going to violate their personal boundaries. Again, with the STD testing, it would make it so much safer because they would have to get tested, and that would help, you know, just women and men in the long run, period. I feel like there is a possibility that it could help with people who feel like they can't control themselves. Maybe if they had an outlet like that where they could just pay for somebody to give them that attention. Now, of course, we also can't be blind to the fact that this would open a door up for people who are predators to take advantage of these situations. But I also feel like those people are already doing what they're doing no matter what. I feel like there's always going to be a risk to that type of job. But if it was legal, maybe it could be done in a house. And I'm not saying that there's not going to eventually be somebody that takes advantage of that. That's how life is sometimes. You know, you can't expect everyone to follow the rules. You know, there's always going to be a school shooter. There's always going to be somebody who, you know, disobeys the law. Like, there's always going to be that one person. But I feel like it would be so much safer if we could do it in houses and brothels where there's security. There's people who can protect these women. It would just make everything so much safer. Sorry for going off on a tangent. I'm really passionate about that being legalized.
No, that was actually very insightful from your point of view. Now, I do also notice that you have some Pokemon on the back of your table back there, and you also did mention that you like to watch Pokemon or play Pokemon Go. So you seem like a Pokemon fan. What's your favorite Pokemon?
Okay, so there's so many. But okay, I try and narrow it down. I think I really like ice Pokemon the most. So Lapras is one of my favorites, and Glaceon, which is like the ice version of Eevee. Yeah. I love them. These three guys. Okay, so just a shout out for anybody who wants to buy me a fucking Pokemon plushie. I've had these three guys in my background for forever, and I keep throwing it out there. If anyone wants to buy me more plushies, they can buy me more plushies, and I will be so heartfelt and so happy. But anyway, these three guys have been with me since the beginning because I didn't have any decorations in my boring old apartment room. So I just kind of put them on the bed, and they just kind of follow me around now.
Gotcha. So what would you say your least favorite Pokemon is? Because mine, personally, I think it's Wobbuffet. I think it's the dumbest Pokemon.
You think who?
Wobbuffet. The little blue guy with the tail. Like, I get what he's trying to do. It's like a defensive strategy, counters and all that. I think it's the dumbest Pokemon. Dumbest in the anime.
He's pretty dumb.
Worst move pool ever. I hate it so much. So what is your least favorite?
I think... and I think it's just because I see him so freaking much. I think it's Rattata. Oh. I just cannot stand his face anymore. I'm just over it. I don't want to see him anymore. You're not original. You're a rat.
Yeah,
like you look nothing like anything else.
How about you, Brian? What is your least?
If I had to pick one, it would definitely... All right, people think he's cute. I don't know why, but Psyduck. So I can't stand him. I don't know. He throws me off.
Who hurt you?
I don't know.
Psyduck be chilling, man. He just has a headache and he's just trying to get on with his day.
Very relatable in that aspect. I mean, don't we all just have a headache sometimes?
Right. Yeah. Right. Imagine just having a headache 24/7 and your trainer just throwing you out to fight a Pokemon. It's like, come on, you know what's going on with me.
This is sad. This is turning very depressing. Poor side.
All right. McNasty, you got any more questions for Cara here?
All my questions are answered. Cara, do you just want to plug your handles let the fans know where they can find it, things like that?
Yeah. So, by the way, I probably should have corrected you earlier, but I have a terrible. I'm very non-confrontational. It's Cara, but I don't mind. It's a fake name, so it doesn't even bother me.
Okay.
My handles are, you can find me on myfreecams.com. I'm Thirsty Cara there. And then on Snapchat, I'm Make Cara Thirsty. On Twitter, I'm Make Cara Thirsty. On TikTok, I'm Thirsty Cara, trying to grow a following there. So those are my biggest plugs.
Gotcha. Brian, make sure you put the plugs in for the Clips channel and the YouTube channel.
Yeah, we'll put it underneath in the descriptions. All right, Cara, but we want to go ahead and thank you for jumping on this call with us and giving us your insight on pretty much a field of work that we had no clue anything about. So it's nice to have somebody who actually works in the sex work and can tell us more about this. Very insightful.
Very insightful.
You're very, very welcome. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to put my story out there.
No problem.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, McNasty, but that was an interesting interview to say the least. I want to go ahead and again thank Cara for coming onto the podcast here and sharing that wild ride of a story. Like, very insightful. I did not expect that at all. That was very interesting. Very interesting interview. Would you say that was the most interesting interview we've had so far, or where do you rank this? Where do you rank this?
Top two.
Top two. Definitely top two. I would say it's in the top two.
It kind of expanded your mind on the other side of things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because most people have a really negative views on any type of sex work, like any type of cam girl streaming, anything like that.
Kind of worked out in her favor, really. She had all these health problems, working a crazy job. She found something that she could do work from home that limits herself from being in the public and, causing any more health problems. And she's making bank. So it works out. That's like the American dream.
That is the American dream.
American dream. Cam girls.
Who would have thought?
Facts.
All right, McNasty, but let's go ahead and wrap up this week's episode. McNasty, do you have anything else that you want to add to this week's episode before we wrap up? Do you want to share your pluggables or anything like that?
All the plugs are in the link tree.
All right, but again, McNasty, if you guys want to ever add any of our socials, any of our official accounts, you can find that on linktr.ee/hi notes with an S podcast. That's linktree/high notes podcast for more. But we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.